Imagine weathering the most outrageous scandals in hip-hop, defending your marriage against every tabloid storm, only to be publicly rejected by a lady who wasn't truly yours, and then humiliated by the one person you believed would never betray you, ladies and gents. Papoose is currently in that identical situation. Yes, he was previously praised for being hip. The most devoted husband in hip-hop is popular for all the wrong reasons. First, he is supposedly kicked to the curb for another guy by Claressa Shields, the vocal and unbeaten boxing champion. Not just any man either, but one who was already in the film while Papoose was unknowingly playing a supporting role. It's not even covered by Savage. The narrative becomes much nastier at this point, though. Remy Ma, the woman Papoose previously stood with through incarceration, industry wrath, and endless speculations, is reportedly letting the world know she's relishing every second of it. Cryptic postings, dubious likes, and friends unintentionally leaking information to gossip blogs. Was this karma finally served, or was Papoose caught off guard? Reaching him? Is Remy manipulating things behind the scenes, or is Claressa the best player? Hold on tight. It's more than just a breakup. This is a brand's public execution. The tea is boiling, too. In the dazzling, egotistical circus, which we kindly refer to as the entertainment sector, there is no value in loyalty. It's a tactic for marketing. And Papoose was the hardest player on that loyalty card. He spent years cultivating that persona. The unwavering ride-or-die husband who supported Remy Ma throughout jail terms, business politics, and rumors that might have destroyed a lesser man's career. He served as the moral compass of hip-hop. So the narrative went. However, in this industry, reputations are as brittle as a champagne flute at a reuniting on reality TV. A single fracture, a single rumor, a single lost Instagram story, and everything breaks into 1,000 jumbled fragments. Furthermore, Papoose is currently standing barefoot in the wreckage and coping with more than just a crack. Here comes Claressa Shields, the self-described GWAT, the greatest boxing woman of all time. She is a walking headline factory, a multiple division world champion, and a two-time Olympic gold medalist. You wouldn't expect her to tread carefully in a relationship because of her unrestrained trash talk and no-holds-barred attitude. However, it seems that she is the one who can blow one up spectacularly. This is the origin of the whisper. Last year, backstage at a celebrity charity event, Papoose and Claressa were seen having a lengthy talk. It's not the courteous industry norm to snap a selfie and go on. We're leaning in to talk, giggling at personal jokes and the obvious body language of two people who don't mind being read as more than friends. No one gave it any thought at first. Claressa was, after all, publicly engaged to Papoose and her longtime companion, Tony Rich. He was still publicly linked to the picture, though, of the faithful man of Remy Ma. However, the problem with the gossip mill is that it operates without facts. A patchwork timeline of coincidences that matched hotel locations, similar Instagram backdrops, and those strangely timed postings with ambiguous titles that suggested some relationships couldn't be explained was assembled by social media detectives in a matter of weeks. Until it wasn't, everything was conjecture. Because the picture came next. You know the one, I see. Claressa and Papoose are seen exiting a lounge together in this hazy late-night photo. His arm was touched by Claressa's hand. He smiled a bit too broadly. The blogs jumped in. The headlines shouted, "Claressa Shields and Papoose are more than just pals." This might have been resolved with a few feigned denials in any reasonable universe. However, our world is not sane. Silence is a confession. In the entertainment industry, and denial is merely a challenge to the internet to delve further. It was not denied by Claressa. She also didn't confirm it. In a post-fight interview, she simply shrugged it off, stating, "People speak. Permit him." Then, as if on cue, Papoose began to appear more frequently where Claressa was already supposed to be. A Miami-set music video, a hip-hop brunch in Atlanta, or even a charity boxing bout in Vegas. The rumors just became more pronounced, and the optics were indisputable. This is where the gloriously awkward part begins. Claressa never formally stopped her relationship with Tony during this period, according to those close to her team. For the sake of privacy, one insider told Gossip Spill Vibe, "Look, Tony's always been the guy." That was a detour, Papoose. Breakups are not Claressa's style. Like regular folks. She makes news. She want attention. She understood. She also kept returning home. Translation: although he was only the halftime act, Papoose may have believed he was the main attraction. Not to mention regarding Remy Ma. She is the master of being quiet in public while expressing everything in private. Although she didn't immediately respond to the claims, her Instagram activity revealed a completely different picture. Loving dubious sayings about self-worth, sharing old pictures, and unexpectedly following Claressa's former sparring partner. Please refrain from switching sides and coincidences, with captions like "Day Ones." The storyline had changed by now. What began as rumors of a potential new romance escalated into a heated debate about what the hell is Papoose thinking? The man who used to give integrity lectures to rappers was now portrayed as someone who exchanged his throne for a seat at the sidelines of Claressa's drama. Then the gut punch was delivered. Claressa Shields reconnecting with Tony Rich in public. There was no PR effort or press statement, just a casual Instagram carousel with dinner dates, gym pictures, and the caption, "Back where I belong, red heart." Tony started posting as well in a matter of hours. True love is eternal. The internet went crazy. After being so noticeable for months, Papoose abruptly stopped talking. There were no blogs, no appearances, no mysterious freestyles, just silence, which naturally made everything worse. Because without his voice, the whispers became more vile and the gossip filled the hole. According to anonymous direct messages posted to gossip blogs, Papoose's romance had caused him to lose favor with friends in the profession. According to others, Remy Ma had privately said that she was done defending his reputation. One really nasty post claimed that because Papoose believed he could win Claressa over, he ignored mutual friends' warnings that she was still in love with Tony. The public's response was brutal. Twitter was overrun with memes, pictures of Tony and Papoose side by side with comments like, "Player 2 has entered the game," and "She upgraded." The writers of TikTok mocked Papoose by acting out fictitious phone conversations between Remy and her pals. Claressa's punches aren't the only thing knocking people out this year, said boxing analysts, joining in on the fun. By the time Papoose made a cameo at a neighborhood gathering in The Damage Was Done, Brooklyn, he was caught evading questioning by paparazzi, and his one response, "I'm good, man," sounded far from convincing. The true story, however, was simmering away behind the scenes. According to some insiders, Papoose was attempting to elude a larger storm. One involves leaked communications, possible video recordings, and a few too many people prepared to talk for the appropriate pay. And this would be more than a messy split if those leaks were ever discovered. It would destroy the brand. And that, gentlemen and ladies, is the point at when humiliation turns into outright disaster. For what follows has nothing to do with love, treachery, or even retaliation. It's a matter of survival. And Papoose will soon discover how harsh this industry can be. When you are caught on camera, when the lights turn against you in the entertainment sector, they don't just dim, they blind. And the glare was cruel to Papoose. Now, like a megaphone, the rumors that had been softly resonating behind closed doors in Brooklyn barbershops and industry gatherings were blaring across Twitter threads and gossip pages. A blind item shared by a well-known celebrity tea account was the first hit. Naturally, there are no names, just enough clues to make the connection. According to the post, a rapper husband with a well-known loyalty brand dumped his long-standing partner for a female athlete, only to be retracted to the athlete's first partner. There was no need for a detective badge in the comment section. Papoose was tagged in a matter of minutes. The tale takes its first really barbaric turn at this point though. A brief, grainy video clip appeared online the same day. It purportedly depicted Claressa Shields bending over a table in a dimly lit restaurant, hand in hand with Tony Rich at the table. 2 weeks before to her final public appearance with Papoose, the timestamp was recorded. The story was set, whether it was real or contrived. While Papoose felt he was in the spotlight, he was really the understudy to a love story that had already been written. According to people close to Remy Ma, she wasn't merely seeing this development. She was fueling the flames. Remy's not saying anything publicly, but trust me, she's making sure the right people see the right things, a pal told Gossip Spill Vibe. Instead of playing checkers, she is playing chess. Next followed the purported DMs. Screenshots started to circulate. Claressa allegedly received messages from Papoose or someone using his account promising to improve matters, offering to work things out, and even making subtle jabs at Tony. The screenshots went viral despite the fact that no one could confirm their legitimacy. Overnight, memes began to emerge. You put captions like this over pictures of Papoose in the middle of a performance, blissfully oblivious to the impending PR catastrophe. The internet behaved brutally. Skits depicting Remy and Claressa clinking glasses over Papooses were released by TikTok creators. Bad luck. She dodges punches and bad decisions, was one of the many comments left by boxing aficionados. And it was wonderfully encapsulated in one viral message on Twitter. In quick time, Papoose went from devoted husband to meme. In the meantime, Papoose made an effort to take back control. He streamed live on Instagram. He was speaking straight to the camera while wearing a studio hoodie. There was no elaborate setup. Although he didn't mention names, his point was obvious. Individuals hold the beliefs they wish to hold. I am aware of the reality. The issue is that in the court of public opinion, whatever makes the best headline is the truth, and his evasive defense simply served to increase conjecture. For her part, Claressa appeared unconcerned. Focus on the ring, not the rumors, and some people can't handle it, she wrote as she posted training videos when she was back in the gym. Of Victor, Tony said very little. With the exception of the well-timed couple selfies that shouted, "We're good over here." The big bombshell that threatened to turn the issue from a messy separation into a full-blown career disaster, however, came next. A former associate of Claressa's leaked what they was a voice memo purportedly recording Claressa discussing her time with Papoose with a friend. Fans might still recognize the warped voice as stating it was never serious. "I was with Tony, and he knew it. He simply enjoyed the attention." The blogs were ablaze with the clip. If accurate, that suggested Papoose was not taken by surprise. He was playing the part of the sideman voluntarily. And you can't escape that kind of job in a field where reputation is vital. Another unidentified source said that Papoosia's staff was rushing behind the scenes. Already, they had lost a small sponsorship agreement as well as a possible spot on a hip-hop panel show. According to the source, nobody wants to book a punchline, they want drama, but they don't want this kind of drama. Not only that, but there were also rumors that a prominent reality TV producer had been secretly filming portions of this story for a possible pilot. Not only Claressa's side, but also Tony's quiet victory lap, Remy's nuanced actions, and Papoose's response. It didn't matter if the video would ever be shown. Fans were drooling over the uncensored version just because of the prospect. The comment sections resembled a battlefield. Team Remy loyalists thought this was karma, revenge for whatever had gone wrong behind the scenes earlier. Supporters of Claressa defended her as a woman with autonomy. Then there were those who believed in conspiracies. The people who said Remy and Claressa were plotting in secret and acting out a well-planned humiliating arc to get as much attention as possible. Papoose began making references to new music, possibly realizing that remaining mute was just making matters worse. He shared a video of himself in the studio on Instagram after stating my narrative in my own words. At first, fans thought it was a diss track, some even gave it the nickname Loyalty Freestyle. However, insiders hinted that Claressa wasn't the only target of the song. It also had bars for Remy. The tension soared at that point. Because in some circles, there is an unwritten rule that applies no matter how terrible things become. You avoid crossing in public. Someone who understands your complete strategy. Remy Ma is not your typical ex. In addition to being a strategist and a veteran of industrial warfare, she has enough allies to make any issue go away with a single phone call. Papoose appeared willing to take the chance, though. According to one insider, he had already recorded 3 versions of the song, one that was moderate, one that was scathing, and one that would blow the internet up. The question was, which one would he choose? And as everyone was waiting to see what Papoose would do next, a new leak threatened to take center stage. A series of unscripted images from a purportedly confidential encounter between Tony Rich and Remy Ma. The scene, a hip eatery in Manhattan. The relaxed body language also cozy. Hours later, the theory changed once more. Was this more about Remy and Tony establishing their own covert partnership than it was about Claressa picking Tony? The controversy had gained arms, legs, and a gym membership by this point. No longer was it only about a separation. Power, retaliation, and the type of professional chess competition where every move is televised in real time were all at stake. It wasn't just the pictures of Remy Ma and Tony Rich eating together in that fancy restaurant in Manhattan that went viral. They broke it up into glistening, rumors-fueled pieces. It was a misleadingly straightforward image. Mid-conversation. 2 persons are leaning slightly in each other's direction. There are wine glasses on the table. Both features had a slight smile on them. However, given the Papoose, Claressa, Tony, Remy, and mess, it was dynamite. The theories came quickly and forcefully. According to some, it was a cordial industry conversation. Others believed it was the pinnacle of revenge plots. Some subsequently claimed that this demonstrated that Papoose had been outplayed on a level so profound that he didn't even acknowledge that he was no longer on the board. The atmosphere at that table was assured rather than romantic, according to a self-described restaurant insider, that is, the waiter who obviously took more mental notes than drink orders. Here's the worst part, though. Tony allegedly took out his phone at one time and showed Remy anything, and for a good 30 seconds, they both laughed. What was on that phone? No one is aware. However, ignorance is the ideal catalyst in the era of viral drama. Papoose, meantime, was at last prepared to strike. Following, he released a teaser video for his new song after weeks of ambiguous messages and half-spoken statements. A single line, a low beat, and menacing piano keys. You thought you was the champ, but you fought the wrong fight. There were no names or details, but they weren't necessary for the internet. They were already breaking down each word as if it were the Zapruder movie. The folder then reappeared. That folder, indeed. The fabled manila envelope that, based on rumors from Part 2, had enough dirt to destroy careers. A blogger with a penchant for exaggeration claims to possess it. In their possession, including screenshots, financial papers, what appeared to be a handwritten letter, and a blurred-out photograph of its contents. The caption reads, "Should I?" It became popular under the hashtag #dumpthefolder in a matter of minutes. In keeping with her typical tactic, Claressa Shields gave no clear answer. Rather, she shared a leisurely. The title for this motion training film reads, "Pressure Makes Diamonds and Cracks." Ever the quiet storm, Tony didn't post anything. But Remy Ma was powerless to resist. She dropped a single devastatingly ambiguous tweet. It's funny that the correct people always find out. Now the war on the internet was on. As if it were a heavyweight title fight, fans took sides. Claressa's team vowed that she was only taking back her life. She was the real puppet master, according to Team Remy, drawing threads from the dark. Then there was the calmer, smaller Papoose team, yet decided to portray him as a man who has been victimized by one cunning fiancé and 2 strong ladies. Things were equally disorganized behind the scenes. The alleged reality show tape, which included Papoose and Claressa at private gatherings in circumstances that would cause his supporters to doubt everything, was leaked by an unnamed producer. Even worse, according to the producer, the show was taped with several endings. One in which Claressa returned to Tony, one in which she stayed with Papoose, and one in which she left both of them. In other words, the edit could be manipulated to tell any story they desired, regardless of what actually happened. According to reports, Papoose went into damage control over overdrive after being edited into a fool. In an attempt to get ahead of any footage release, he began requesting favors. However, one industry source told Gossip Spill Vibe, "You can outrun the edit in this game. Your only option is to try to outshine it." A fresh spark entered the gossip circuit just when it appeared that the fire would go out. The unidentified third party. Silently, a name fell into a shared thread. A man who has a documented history of interacting with Claressa's social circles but has no connection to music or boxing. A few stated that he had been present while she was with Tony and Papoose. He was merely an old friend, according to others. But the tale of a love triangle suddenly becoming a love quadrangle, or worse, a love pentagon, was too fantastic for the blogs to ignore. At this time, even individuals who had no notion who Papoose was were put into it. YouTube reaction channels were analyzing body language, timelines, and the deeper meaning of certain Instagram captions, garnering hundreds of thousands of views. Claressa's actions were likened to the Grandmaster strategy of chess in Twitter threads. The TikTok edits of Remy Ma grinning in old interviews were because she was familiar with memes. A single thing emerged from all of this. Being harassed online and losing Claressa weren't the only things that caused the shame. It has to do with losing narrative control. Papoose was always the one who shaped his own narrative. He was now a character in a different script. In a last-minute turn of events, Claressa announced a news conference focused on her upcoming major altercation rather than her relationships. However, a daring reporter managed to smuggle in the question that everyone wanted to ask during a Q&A, do you regret spending time with Papoose? Claressa had a smile that had the power to shatter glass. She said, "I don't regret any lesson I've learned," before going on to the following query. No denial, no affection, just a dismissal dressed up as self-growth. The energy had changed by the conclusion of the week. The folder had not yet fallen. The unidentified individual had remained silent. And Remy had fallen silent once more, which is when she is most dangerous, as we all know. What does that leave us with, then? Was Papoose a volunteer or a victim? With unresolved questions, simmering resentment, and a digital audience that won't let this story end? Was Claressa's every action part of a larger marketing campaign? Is Tony hiding his own secrets, or is he simply the nice person in all of this? And is Remy Ma already planning her next move, or is she happy to observe from the sidelines? One thing is certain, regardless of the reality. Within the celebrity drama empire, no one is safe from the edit, and the crown is everlasting. And for that reason, my friends, you should never entrust your reputation to others, particularly in this era of gossip.